pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. Can we have a roll call, please?
First, Chairman, this meeting has been advertised in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Roll call.
That was my next agenda.
Mr. Candell,
Here.
Ms. Larman, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Shaw,
Here.
Ms. Sataka, Mr. Velosin, Mr. Williams, Council President Zabrowski, Chairman Tai.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a roll call.
We've already did that.
Memorialization of resolutions.
Yes, we have one, PB number 26-04, 955 Route 9 LLC, minor site plan, 955 US Highway 9 in Saraville, Block 413, Lot 5.
Need a motion? Do I have a second? Anybody opposed?
We'll do a roll call
Roll
vote.
call.
Mr. Candell, Ms. Larman,
I wasn't here for that meeting, right?
correct. Mr. Mueller, he's not here. Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Sataka, Mr. Velosin, Council President Zabrowski,
Yes.
Chairman Tai.
Yes.
Thank you.
Site plan subdivision.
Now, we also have acceptance of minutes. The minutes are from July 15th.
Make a motion that the minutes from July 15th, subject to edits, is accepted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Communication agenda.
None this evening.
Site plan subdivision.
We have two. We'll start with the first one, Planning Board number 2605, Saraville Seaport Associates Urban Renewal LP, Bass Pro amended site plan, portico and relocation of boat storage area, block 257.02, lots 1.05, 7, and 7.02.
Good evening.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jennifer Phillips Smith. I'm an attorney with FBT Gibbons, and I am here tonight on behalf of Saraville Seaport Associates Urban Renewal. We do have two applications this evening, but we're starting with the one that impacts the Bass Pro. As you know, we've been before you several times before over the years for the building and for modifications to the building and modifications to the parking lot. We are here for two additional modifications. One is a very small building adjustment, which is to add a portico to the front entrance. And the second is to relocate the proposed boat storage area. As you know, Bass Pro sells boats. We previously had approval to store the boats in one portion of the site. Due to some operational issues, we'd like to store them closer to the main building where they can be more readily accessible while the rest of the site is still under construction. So we are seeking this evening amended final major site plan approval along with some design exceptions. We have two witnesses this evening. It'll be Mark Fetta and Dan Bush, who is going to be wearing his engineering and planning hats. So we did provide notice of this application and provided the affidavit to the board attorney and secretary in advance of the meeting. And if there's no questions, we'll begin by bringing up Mr. Fetta.
I think we're fine.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Fetta, then. We'll swear you in.
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Mr. Fetta, can you begin, and I know the board's heard this before, but for the record, just describing your association with the project and your duties with the project.
Sure. I'll start off with my education. I'm an architect and engineering degree from Penn State. There's an advanced degree emphasis on construction management and civil engineering. And then I received approximately 10 years ago my MBA from Carnegie Tech in joint venture with University of Lausanne in Switzerland, and that was in asset management. I've got 40 years of experience running and developing complex projects in the United States and overseas, including this project I've been assigned to for about 6 years, 7 years actually. And my position is project executive. I'm in charge of development, permitting, design, construction, and operations.
Now, before we move into the Bass Pro minor alteration to the building, if you could just give the board a quick update on the overall status of construction.
Certainly. The Bass Pro project, first of all, is moving towards completion. We'll have an opening here within probably the next 60 days. The tenant Bass Pro is now fitting out the building. I wanted to mention also that building, we've passed our life safety inspections for the most part. There's a few minor glitches that we need to work out, but the fire alarm systems, the sprinkler systems, the generators, all of the mechanical equipment are open, functioning, and operational. So that's a big achievement.
Great. So we're here tonight in part because we'd like to add a small portico to the front of the building to make a grand entrance. Can you describe that small addition?
Certainly. On the sheet here, you see the original 200,000 square foot Bass Pro building that we've amended several times before. This small gray box here, in comparison, is the original canopy. It's about 240 square feet. That was appended to the front of the building. And in the blue square, again, in relation to the entire building, is a 1,500 square foot open air portico, no vehicular traffic, only pedestrians. It's basically there to protect visitors, customers from inclement weather, and it's a gathering place to enter the grand entrance to the building.
Mr.
So
Feta,
again, that puts it in perspective with how small that is in comparison to the whole building.
so I'd like to mark that exhibit as A1, just for the record. And that is the diagram showing the small portico addition, correct?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead and continue. I think you have some other drawings.
So this is an enlargement of the portico that we are adding to the building. Again, you can see that the original building is 52 foot 6 inches high. This portico is 20 foot 6 inches high. It's outlined in blue here. Again, it's 1,500 square feet. This section, I think, illustrates also the massing and some of the finishes, most importantly, on the building, which I'll flip to on another slide here. But that gives you a perspective of the elevation of the front of the building.
And we should mark that diagram of the portico as A2.
This is a rendering of the front of the building when it's constructed. And again, you can see the signage, which we did want to point out, the square footage of the signage at the front. We would like to have that approved as well for Bass Pro.
And that sign is approximately 260 square feet. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And that is in addition to the previously approved signage, correct?
That's correct.
And we have reviewed the reports from the professionals as to the portico, and we don't believe there's any design exceptions required for the portico feature itself. With that, I don't have any further questions for Mr. Feta on the portico. We can shift gears to the boat storage unless there's questions for the board on the portico.
Anybody have any questions?
Just one question out of curiosity. Is the new signage lit as well, or is it just, is new signage back?
It will be backlit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not digital. So fixed to the front of the building and backlit, yes. As of today. They may change it.
Only have 60 days.
That's right. Put them on the clock. Okay,
Anybody else have any questions of the engineer?
All right. Well, then I would like to bring up, do you typically open to the public for questions at the end, correct? Wonderful. Then I will ask Mr. Bush to come up to begin his testimony on the relocated boat storage.
I do.
Right. For the record, and we're going to seek to qualify you both as an engineer and professional planner this evening. So if you could please describe your education, experience, and licensure.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Civil Engineering from the University of Delaware. I've been the engineer of record on the Riverton project for now 18 years. I also have a licensed professional engineer, professional planner for about 25 years. Obviously, I've testified on this application on numerous occasions before the board as both a planner and engineer for that matter.
Anybody have any objections? Not, we'll move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. So Mr. Bush, for the second part of this application, we are seeking the amended site plan approval to relocate the previously approved boat storage. Can you describe where it previously was and where we'd like to move it?
Sure. So what we have here is the 2019 site plan that was approved by the board. In that approval, there is a boat storage area adjacent to our wet pond in the southwest corner of the site. That area is under active construction, so it's not feasible to place the boat storage area there at this point. So we are locating it just north of the now the Bass Pro site.
Before you move on, let's mark that one as A4. And I may have neglected to mark Mr. Fetta's third as A3, but we'll mark that accordingly. So for the site plan overview, that'll be A4. Why don't you go ahead and mark this one as A5 and describe what that is?
Okay, this is the site plan that was submitted to the board of the relocated boat storage area. This is the out parcel located just north of the Bass Pro site. We've incorporated the boat storage into two separate areas, a triangular piece in the southeast corner and a rectangular piece north. Access to it is from Bass Pro Drive, the extension of Riverton Crossing to the area to the north, and then on directly from Bass Pro Drive, interior to the Bass Pro site to the triangular area in the southeast corner. We're adding trees on three sides of the out parcel to screen the boat storage area from inside. So the public obviously is going to come to Bass Pro. They're going to drive up Riverton Crossing and make a right into the site. These trees provide screening for the members of the public that are coming to the site. From the exterior, so this is a Google Street View from obviously from the Parkway southbound, and the boat storage area would be on the other side of these existing trees. So from off the site, you won't be able to see the boat storage area. So public arriving there will not see it because you have trees, new trees that are on site, and then off site, you won't be able to see it because you got significant existing vegetation off site.
And we'll mark that street view as A6 just for the record. I can mark it later on the back.
I don't think I can write on that one. Okay. The boat storage is purely for inventory and boats that Bass Pro will be servicing. This is not for storage like like a winter storage, like a private individual would utilize. It is not open to the public. What would happen if you're purchasing a boat, you would be escorted, driven by a Bass Pro employee to the boat storage area and be able to look at the boat. Otherwise, it's just Bass Pro employees that would be utilizing the boat storage area. So very minimal public. So we're not putting any sidewalk. It'll be gated. It'll be fenced. We do have lighting, so it's got security cameras, things of that nature. That's kind of a broad overview of what we have here.
There was a question about the need to potentially relocate boat storage in the
yes,
future
thank
as
you.
the rest of the site develops.
Yes, thank you. So in the approved concept plan that dates back to about the same time, 2019, the Riverton Crossing would extend further north, which actually does overlap with the northern portion of the boat storage area as shown. In the detailed engineering plans that are part of the package, we've placed, for example, there's a storm water inlet in the middle of the boat storage area. That's actually been placed precisely on what is anticipated to be the future easterly side curb line for that road. So when in the future the boat storage area gets relocated, that inlet stays there and gets utilized for the future road extension. So we're anticipating in the future, as the area to the north here gets developed, that the boat storage area would get relocated and that road would then extend just north as it was originally envisioned.
All right. So as part of this application, though, given the fact that this is intended to be just a storage area and not open to the public, there are some design exceptions that are required. If you could maybe walk through those, I think they relate to things like curbing and sidewalks and driveway dimensions.
Yep. So I have it as six. One is we're using the same black vinyl coated chain link fence that's out there along the parkway. Because that's not entirely screened with landscaping, there is a need for a design waiver for that. Technically, we need a waiver for sidewalk because we're not placing sidewalk on the driveway extension. Obviously, we don't want the public to walk to the boat storage area. We're keeping it as a secure area, so obviously we don't want to put sidewalk there. The driveway, which will have minimal traffic, basically, like I said, and for employees to take customers or just employees to drive there is only 24 feet wide, which is more than adequate for what's needed. But technically, the ordinance says 30 feet. This is a temporary condition, so we're asking for that waiver. Most of the area is not curbed, again, because it's temporary. The one piece of curbing that we are putting in is on the easterly side of what would be the future Riverton crossing extension to the north. So on the left side of the out parcel, which would be the easterly curb line of the future Riverton crossing north. That's the only area where we're putting curb. Everything else would be temporary, so no curbing. As in the past, our water lines are plastic here. They're just C900. And that we made that deliberate decision when we first started the project because of the nature of the soils that are out there. So it's more inert to the soil conditions. And then there's a couple of design waivers associated with the lighting. Some of these corners are very hard to light, so they have a little bit lower lighting level than the ordinance would otherwise allow, which results in a need for a waiver for those small areas. And that does throw off some of the max to min, the type of ratios, because if you have one small area that's low, it throws those ratios off. But generally, with those few exceptions, the entire boat storage area has a uniform lighting levels. It's the same light fixture that we have on the Bass Pro site today. Those would be the same lights that we would have there. And I think that's all the waivers I had.
There was one suggestion that parking areas require one shade tree for every 20 parking spaces, but would you characterize this as a true parking area?
Sorry, I got distracted. But yes, there is a waiver for landscaping as well. And it's the 10% of the paved area needs to be landscaped. So we do need a waiver for that.
And I believe.
Sorry, that's the seventh.
I believe you basically, to summarize your testimony, that would be impractical to adhere to each of those design standards for this type of sort of unique boat storage use in the triangular shapes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, we did receive the engineer's letter dated July 27th. And I think we've covered most of the things that asked for testimony there. Are there any other things you'd like to address?
I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Cornell about the letter and the technical aspects of it. I'm confident that as part of resolution compliance, should the boards approve the application, that we can resolve any of the technical questions that are in his letter. And I'm sure he can, if there's things I missed.
And then we also received the planner's letter dated August 12th. I think there was just one question in there we haven't answered yet, which has to do with type and size of boats that may be stored. And so we had a list there that there were some small craft that were between 8 to 12 feet.
Yeah, I think that the easiest way to answer the question, because Bass Pro did provide a long list of the different types of boats that they sell. Basically, the largest boat that would be here would be some kind of center console, something a little greater than 24 feet. No racks or anything of that nature, just, typical trailer boat storage.
Right. Those are all the questions that I have for Mr. Bush.
How long is this temporarily going to be done?
That's a good question, Mr. Chairman. I think it's going to be there for a considerable period of time, recognizing how much development would need to take place before we would be developing further north. But that could change.
Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead.
Just have, one quick question. I think you mentioned before, are there boat repairs that would take place there or assembly?
So no, there is not boat repair that would take place there. There's boat repair facilities within the building. So
Okay.
there would be storage of boats either before or after they were being repaired in the boat storage area.
In there, but just for the record, there'd be no repairs out there. Repairs would be in the building.
Right. The only thing that's out there is there's hose bibs, so they'd be able to wash the boat. That's about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
can you touch on when customers will be able to access this area?
Sure. The hours I think are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, they would only be able to access it being escorted. The gates that are there are going to be locked until an employee gets there and unlocks the gate to get access. So no nighttime.
Anybody else? All
All right.
Make a motion to open to the public. Anybody from the public like to speak? Make a motion to open up the public. If not, we'll close it. Seeing no one, we'll move on.
Thank you. That's all we have for this presentation. So that's all we have for this presentation. Thank you.
You don't want to sum up? Good.
I think you've got the gist of it.
You got the gist of it? You've heard your testimony. What's your pleasure, board?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Roll call. Mr. Candell?
Yeah.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Sataka? Mr. Voloshin? Council President Zabrowski?
Yes.
Chairman Ty?
Yep.
Great. Right. The next application is Planning Board 2606 Saraville Seaport Association Urban Renewal Victory Electrical Substation, Block 257.02, Lot 1.05.
Right. I'm back.
Welcome to have you.
Thank you. So on this application, it's for, as the planning board secretary indicates, block 257.02, lot 1.05, which is a very large lot. We're actually in a very different corner of this lot for this application. And we are here seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval along with design exceptions for the electrical substation, which I know is very exciting. I could tell you, we do not have any wonderful, pretty pictures like we do of the portico, but the electrical substation is a very critical portion of this application. It is needed to make sure that the entire project is going to have sufficient power in the future. So this evening, we'll be showing you where the substation is planned for. We have tucked it away in a far off corner of the site, in a portion of the site that is not accessible to the public currently. It's still part of a construction area. And that's by design, right? We want it as far away from the planned construction as possible. But because of that, you'll see this evening that we are proposing a temporary road to get out to that site that'll be used just by the utility company to construct and then to service the station. We're also proposing to do this by way of easement. We had previously sought a subdivision for this portion of the site to carve out space for it, which was approved by the board. The site has actually gotten a bit larger, and we've decided in working with the utility that instead of conveying the land, we will be doing it by easement. So we no longer need a subdivision. With that, probably won't surprise you that we have two witnesses. We have Mark Fetta and Dan Bush will come back up, and we'll go through the substation application to understand where it is and how it relates to the other development that's planned. So Mr. Fetta, if you want to come back up. Would you like me to have them put their credentials on for the record? Okay, excellent. Then we'll just repeat that from last time and move on to, if you could describe, Mr. Fetta, kind of where on the site this substation is planned to be located.
Certainly. Dan mentioned before, referred to the 2019 initial site plan approval that we perfected subsequently several years before. The Bass Pro building is in Phase 1A. We'll now turn our attention to Phase 1B, which is the Gateway Services District, right along Main Street Extension. just to the south of the church, Epic Church. Phase 1B, similar to Phase 1A with Bass Pro, we're now entering a point in time, which we've all anticipated, which is active public access, open buildings open for business. And so how does this all coexist with construction? As we pointed out before on Phase 1A and same with 1B, we're intentionally entirely segregating construction activity from public activity. So nobody in the public will be able to get into the construction zone. There'll be guards, fences, and gates to prevent that. And we'll play into that a little bit here. As Jen mentioned, the substation is tucked away in basically an undevelopable part of the overall parcel C here. It's literally between MCUA facilities and the abandoned railroad and the landfill behind. I would mention also that we carefully sheeted the stormwater management flow so that it does not discharge into the permanent stormwater management basin that we have here. Rather, it goes through the temporary stormwater management system that eventually discharges from that secondary lagoon into the tertiary lagoon. The pad for the site is, for the Victory substation, is at 31.5 feet elevation. That's much higher naturally than mean high water and the Raritan. Want to protect this substation. So we'll be in a position soon where, and I should mention that the Quick Check building right here is about to open, probably again within the next 60 days. We've started construction on the previously approved Panera building. So within a couple of months, we will have the gates that I mentioned before that prevent access beyond this location here. So public access, all of this will be under construction. As the Panera building opens, we'll continuously move that gate and all that security measures down to this point. And then eventually, once this site is developed, which is Phase 2B, then we'll continue to move the fencing down and the construction area will shrink. So presently, from where the public will have access to the substation, this temporary access road through construction, it's almost 2,000 feet. So again, entirely separated from public access, these temporary access roads.
Mr. Feta, we'll mark that one as A1. We'll start back at 1 again for the aerial. And we'll mark this one, which I believe is a plan showing the location of the substation as A2.
And Dan, I think you'll address this a little bit more elaborately on your testimony.
So Mr. Feta, can you describe sort of generally why do we need a substation here?
Right. So for some reassurance, the Bass Pro building and everything in phases 1A and 1B that I just described, that will be powered by 3 megawatts of readily available from the grid right on Main Street Extension, a reservation and a contract that we established 6 years ago with JCP&L at First Energy. So we have a little bit of a runway left after phase 1A and 1B. At the same time, we performed the calculations necessary to determine how much power overall is necessary for the Riverton project. It's a little over 30 megawatts. So at that time, we went into contract negotiations and finalized the contract with First Energy to build not only the substation, the Victory substation, but the transmission line that will serve that substation. Originally, when we met previously, made our submission for the Victory substation some years ago, it was one load bank of 30 megawatts, which would almost entirely power the entire, with all of the Riverton project. Since then, we've increased the potential size of the Victory substation to 2 load banks, 30 megawatts each. We're not proposing to build the second load bank quite yet, with many years of construction and development, actually, before the market demands additional power. So we did enlarge and slightly turned the substation to accommodate that enlargement.
And you mentioned the transmission lines. That application will be filed separately by First Energy, also known as JCP&L, correct?
That's correct.
So today we
Yes.
are just here for site plan approval for the pad site itself, for the substation, and for the temporary roadway, correct?
That's correct. Jen, I might add that under the contract, the redeveloper is responsible to build the foundations and the underground substructures to support all of JCP&L's equipment. So that's the very first thing, once we gain approval for this modification and betterment of the location of the Victory substation, we would commence construction of the substructures, the pilings, et cetera. And then JCP&L will literally build all the facilities.
And before I move on to Mr. Bush, if you could just talk a little bit about the construction timeline, potentially, if the board were to approve this site plan.
Yeah, between approval that we expect here and the time to build the foundations, that's probably 3.5 to 4 months. At that point, it's approximately 8 months for the utility company to fit out the substation. So we're looking at about a year from now before the substation would be completely constructed, a little bit less than a year.
I think those are all the questions I have for you, Mr. Fetta, unless there's anything else you want to add.
I would just bring this exhibit up as well that demonstrates the 2 load banks with the transformer, the switch gear, and the bus pads. Again, the first load bank is what we're looking to build at this point, and this is a provision for the future, the second load bank. We are going to build all of the auger pressure grouted piles and all the foundations for the second load bank, so that when it comes time to fit out the second one, that's just installing equipment on top of existing infrastructure. So I wanted to mention that. And Jen, I think that there were some questions about the substation, and we're missing one slide here. The main
Let's mark
facilities.
that one as
We'll make that
A3.
A3.
Yep.
So the transformers for both load banks are the largest component of the substation. They're approximately 13.5 feet high. So again, they fit in well below the existing infrastructure between MCUA to the north and the landfill to the south. I think there was a question on the size of the equipment there. I did want to point out that there is one H-frame, which is called a dead end structure, where the transmission line goes from overhead to underground. And that structure is 58 feet high. Then the last thing to mention is that from the substation into all the buildings within Riverton, all of the power and the distribution conduits and conductors, they're all underground. We have no overhead utility infrastructure, whether it's electrical or anything else in Riverton. Everything's underground, which you would expect in a Class A development as we're building.
And that's from the substation into Riverton.
Into all the buildings throughout. Exactly right.
We'll mark the H-frame dead end plan as A4. All right.
Okay.
That's all I have for Mr. Fetta.
Okay, anybody have any questions of the engineer? If not, we'll take number 2.
All right. All right, so we're bringing back up Mr. Bush again to offer him as an expert in the field of civil engineering and professional planning. I know the board just accepted his credentials a few minutes ago. Mr. Chairman, I presume that his credentials are acceptable for this application
Yes.
as well. Thank you. Right. So Mr. Bush, I'll ask you to get into a little bit more of the details using what we've now marked as A2 to describe where this substation will be located on the site.
Well done, Mark. So the substation, as Mr. Fetta described, is located here in the southwest corner of the site, next to the landfill, and you can see the MCUA settling basins here in an area that otherwise is not available for development. It was previously, when we did the subdivision in 2023, it was 124 by 154. And as Mr. Fetta noted, we added an additional load bank. It only grew to 140 by 160, so just a little bit larger. The way it's going to be done now is, instead of a subdivision,
We'll mark this one as A5.
there's two easements. So there's a permanent easement of 0.514 acres, which is the lighter gray rectangle. That's where the substation, fenced-in substation, would be located. And the darker gray area is a temporary access easement that will come off of Peter Fisher Boulevard and just basically wind through the area that's under construction now. That'll be a gravel access drive, temporary in nature. And then the substation itself is also stoned and fenced with a 8-foot high chain link fence, the same black vinyl chain link fence, except it's 8 feet high for security purposes. Ultimately, when this portion of the site gets developed, there will be paved access. So the nature of the temporary gravel access is truly temporary. On the adjacent area, there'll be paved roads that lead to the substation, and this temporary access easement will ultimately go away. Just to give some indication, JCP&L just gave us some feedback as far as the nature of like how much traffic goes to the substation. Basically, they have somebody go there about once a month, just to basically check on it. They're not anticipating doing any work at the substation once it's constructed for a number of years. Obviously, there's going to be state-of-the-art equipment that they're not anticipating having to do something substantive there for a long time. There is no lighting on the substation. There's security cameras, but JCP&L generally does not light substations. They try to keep them inconspicuous. So we don't have any lighting associated with the substation. And for that matter, nor does the access drive. Again, not open to the public, keeping the public away from it. So that does result in a couple waivers, which we'll get to in a second. There is no landscaping associated with it. When the adjacent area is developed, we would examine what landscaping could be accommodated or should be accommodated in the area. But at this point in time, we're not proposing any landscaping around the substation. Oh, there was a question raised with respect to fire protection and for the substation. We did reach out to the fire official. We will be installing a hydrant, something on the order of 240 to 280 feet from the substation to provide a means for fire protection. There's also questions with respect to noise. It's a substation, so there is a little bit of noise associated with it. But to give the board some peace of mind, the areas adjacent to it to the north that will ultimately be developed are non-residential. The closest residential, from what I could scale off, is about 800 feet away. There's restrictions from an environmental standpoint and also with buffers associated with MCUA that would not allow residential to be in proximity to the substation. I go through the design waivers unless I miss something.
No, that would be perfect.
I have it as five design waivers, very similar to what we just described for the boat storage area. One being the same thing for the chain link fence. Again, like the temporary gravel access drive where the ordinance would otherwise require pavement. Sidewalks, as I discussed earlier, We don't want the public here. Technically, we need a design waiver for not providing public access. Same thing on the driveway width. This is 24 feet, which is certainly more than adequate for a vehicle going there roughly once a month. And then same thing for the water pipe, which will ultimately be installed for the C900, the plastic pipe, again, consistent with elsewhere throughout Riverton.
And given that the substation is being constructed with a temporary road and area still under construction and a rather remote portion of the site, would you say that it would be impractical to comply with the design requirements?
Yes.
Great. So I know we also received the borough engineer's letter dated August 13th. I believe in this case, you've also had discussions with the borough engineer about those technical requirements.
That's correct. And I'm confident that we can go through those technical requirements as part of resolution compliance and address any concerns.
And then we also received the planner's letter dated August 13th. I believe we have addressed every item where we were asked to provide testimony, but if we left anything out, you'll let us know.
I think you covered pretty much everything. Just one quick question about the potential for landscape screening in the future. If there is a way to, and maybe this is part of resolution compliance or future applications, but to confirm if you can at this point that there'll be enough land area surrounding the chain link fence to accommodate the landscaping.
The simple answer is there's not much area around it to actually accommodate the landscaping. So it would have to be, I'll just say perhaps the other side of the street. So I don't want to misstate that there's a significant opportunity immediately adjacent to the substation to do plantings. Having said that, we did submit the tree preservation calculations. So there is a component of where we've got to make a contribution to the tree preservation fund for some of the trees that were previously removed. So there's some benefit if you want to look at it from a landscaping standpoint associated with the application.
Okay. And so I guess just to clarify, like if there's not enough areas immediately surrounding that, there'll be some consideration of the view shed and the appearance overall.
Correct. We're anticipating that there will be commercial buildings in proximity to the substation that would be the screening for it, which would negate the need for landscaping, but something could change between now and then. So,
And we would have to present that site plan to this
Exactly.
board when we do go to develop
Exactly.
any buildings around that area.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. How high is the chain link fence?
It's 8 foot high.
What's the measurement?
That's JCP&L's requirement. So that's what we went with.
Anyone else have any questions?
Just a general question, and I know you're not an expert in this, and this is probably more for JCP&L when they come in related to the larger poles and the stronger in the currency. But from an overall standpoint, because the community always has a question, when you have a large development, this is going to impact the community itself. And from my understanding, it'll have a positive impact at the end, obviously, because you're going to be able to provide the energy that's needed for the development. But I think the overall scheme is not negative, but an improvement.
That's correct. And the ability to install an additional load bank for that matter is a positive for the community.
Anyone else? Feedback?
That is all I have on this application, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the application. What's your pleasure, board?
Probably need to open to the public.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Anybody from the public like to speak? Thank you, gentlemen. Anybody from the public like to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on. Heard your testimony. What's your pleasure, board?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion made and second. Anybody?
We'll have a roll call. Mr. Candell? Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Sataka? Mr. Velosan? Council President Zabrowski?
Yes.
Chairman Ty?
Yes, thank you very much for two great experts. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Next on the agenda, old business, new business administrative matters. Our next meeting will be September 2nd. Justin?
Right now, the only item on the agenda for September 2nd is the Main Street, Raritan Street Transit Village Area Need Study presentation.
All right.
Chairman, would you like to open back to the public?
I'm open to the public. Anybody from the public like to speak? Now hold your peace. Anybody from the public like to speak? Having seen none, we'll close that. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Go ahead.
The warehouse buildings over on Cheesecake Road.
Hmm?
I noticed there's activity there. Who's in those?
Wait, sure.
I'd have to call construction and find out.
We'd
As
have-
the CO.
I know they were empty a year or two.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden there's trucks coming out. Who's in-
Yeah, I could find out and I'll give you a call tomorrow. Perfect.
I'm just glad to see they're rented. I'm glad to see they're rented.
Well, yeah, but I've never heard of anybody getting approval for it.
No problem. I'll find out.
Okay.
Take a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All opposed? See you September 2nd.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.